Welcome back to another episode of the Top of Off Cricket Podcast. Like I said, nothing's going on in West Indies cricket. I'm your host, Kevin Henry. With me, I got my boys, Sammy and Walter. And as usual, we talk at everything West Indies cricket. So we didn't get to do an episode on the Breakout League. And it went by, the final was last Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday.
Last Saturday. Yes, I was at the function last Saturday and peeping the scores every now and then. My wife watching them with a side eye. The Leeward Islands were taking on Trinidad and Tobago. Leeward Islands Thunder. Let me not disrespect the franchise. We're taking on the Trinidad and Tobago Legions, and it was quite a competitive match for a good part of it. But the tournament overall, I think a lot of people expected all guns blazing. You know, the type of T20 cricket that they see over in India with pitches tailor-made for 200s and all this kind of stuff. Without understanding, these are the pitches that we have in the West Indies, and the scores are a little bit more, the par scores are a little bit more on the lower side, in 160, 170, that type thing. And is a good fight. It's a good tussle. And we saw that in a lot of the games, low scores being defended. Walter, your thoughts on the tournament overall?
As you said earlier, I'm happy that we had this tournament. I'm happy with what I saw. We had a basher, somebody who hits the ball far, in Mr. James, who scored the most runs, but we also had Mr. Anderson, that he was also one of the top scorers. Joan Justice Silva gave a good account as long as Athens. But what I'm very happy about is the bowlers, right? And it was leg spinners. And I'm happy that they made a big emphasis on having leg spinners play in the team, and a lot. We had some very good performances by the leg spinners. Jediah Blades, I like the fact that he continues to show what he can do. Ryan John is coming into his own. I think he needs to lose some weight, but he is no, as a fast bowler, you can't.
I agree. I agree.
He has to, and you know what else I noticed? There was a definite effort to rotate the strike by the players. I must say that I think the Barbados Pelicans underperformed because I think that they had the strongest team on paper, right? And in my opinion, strongest team on paper based on recognized players. I like what I saw, a number of different players. We had some very good performance. Nathan Edwards, I love the fact that he is 5'27". This Trinidadian from Mahis, I like him. I like the fact that it was a teenager that topped the wickets in Mr. McKenzie from the leg spinner from the Leeward Islands Thunder. So I'm happy overall. I need to see this happen again. I hope next season we have 2 rungs, better plan. And I don't have a problem with it being in one place, but I think that we could play on multiple grounds, different pitches, different types of pitches. We could have a flat pitch and a quick pitch, more thought put into that, right? Different conditions to have. But I think I don't have a problem with it being played as a cricketing body at this particular point in time. We have to be wise with how we move, and it's wise to have it in one place. Overall, I don't have a problem. It was a good thing that we need it as it relates to our 2020 cricket, because we need to unearth a lot more and give more players chances.
Sam, your thoughts?
Right. So I don't have any deep thoughts on the Breakout League. I didn't follow it closely as Walter would have. I did follow the last match, you know, that, I mean, Josh De Silva, again, at that time, he was still, you know, still hopeful, I suppose, that he could become captain of the West Indies team, unless he got some whispers from people that said otherwise. But it was, you know, just to see how he would perform and, you know, to see if he could lead the Legions to victory, made that matchup even more exciting to watch, right? My comments are more of disappointment. One, Joel Andrew. I do believe that he should have performed better. I mean, when we look at the overall stats in terms of players the most runs or high scores or what have you, we don't see his name there. On top of that, in that last match, he played a shot that he had no reason playing.
Yeah,
You know,
you can't argue against that, Tom.
because, you know, keeping wickets in hand, we know down the wire, you have wickets in hand, you can change the game quickly. Within a few balls, within 1 over, you can change a game. Yeah.
So I must say we should be talking about the youngster. I think looking at him, and I don't like beating up on youngsters, but there was a level of arrogance where as it relates to this tournament to that young man. Most of the times that he out his shots that he played in arrogance, not understanding where the game, and I think he like it come across that he. Like even in his undertones, I guess, listen to what, I attack the lesser bowlers and those kind of things. And as somebody who play cricket, we don't we might attack a bowler that you think that you have a good you line up good about it, but it's not a lesser bowler because anybody could get your wicket at any day, at any time. It takes one ball. So I think as it relates to that, Joel, I hope people have conversation. Can't be arrogance makes you. Brian Lara was an arrogant person, and but yes, but you need to know have better game awareness, and I think that's what's lacking with him. Sorry, yeah, what you were saying.
No, that's fine, and I think your sentiments were shared by the commentators. Or similar sentiments. I stand corrected if that wasn't the case, but
yeah,
especially for that final game, that's the one I can speak to. All right. But here's my greatest disappointment. Now, this is 1 week since that final match. I've listened to Mason and Guest. I heard no comment about what I'm going to talk about. Cricket West Indies had their big session on Friday. No comment on this particular concern. The issue I have with that final match, and I don't know if it happened in other matches, but I can speak for the final match. Joel Andrew and Micah McKenzie were celebrating wickets. When Micah gets a wicket, he runs down to the other end, you know, or towards the other end. Joel Andrew would come from behind the stumps and they would have the little celebration in the middle. And you can see they were trying different things. But the one celebration I have a problem with is the one where they drew a make-believe gun from waist, point their guns at each other, and mimics firing it off. I have a problem with that. And I'm not bashing the two young men. Let me make this very clear. I'm not bashing the two young men on this issue, right? We've all been young. We've all done silly things. But one of the commentators, here is what he said. Goalie comes, goalie goes, guns out, dead. So forget about Joel Andrew, forget about Micah McKenzie. We have a commentator who saw nothing wrong with that celebration. In fact, he seemed to be enjoying it. And whoever in the video room that were, compiling the highlights or what have you, they replayed that situation at the end of the match. Now, why do I have a concern with this? In the islands of the Caribbean, internationally, we have high homicide rates. It's not only a Jamaica thing. Trinidad, if you look at Barbados for the year 2024, Barbados has had a significant increase in the amount of deaths by the gun. In fact, listen to this, a 161% increase in homicides via the gun in 2024. 34 firearm deaths in Barbados, right?
Trinidad has a high rate. Guyana has a high rate. Since the smaller islands are getting up there, as recent as today, St. Vincent had a triple homicide. And
right. Let me give you this, Kevin. This is a global data, right? At the top, the 10 most homicides per 100,000 people, right? Jamaica is at the top, followed by St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago, St. Lucia at number 4. So the top 4 positions, right? You go down to number 7, the Bahamas. Number 8, St. Kitts and Nevis. Number 9, Belize. Now, granted, when you look at it in terms of per 100,000, we can understand why our small countries are, because our populations are small, relatively speaking, right? But outside of that, or understanding that consideration, the point is we are ranked high in the world in terms of homicides. You cannot have your cricketers celebrating violence on the field, even though we know the guys are having fun, but we don't want that type of fun. Some years ago, a Jamaican athlete was it Boys and Girls Champs? I think it was, or something.
Yeah. It was 2 years ago or something like that. Yeah.
Right. There was an issue with him celebrating with some type of gun salute or what have you. And that was an issue. So what it says to me is that we're not paying attention. Now, Micah, McKenzie, and Joel Andrew, in another 5 to 8 years, can very well be in the conversation for captains of the West Indies team, the West Indies test team, and maybe even white ball teams too, right? So we want to ensure that we give them proper guidance from now. They must understand they have a social responsibility to the Caribbean, to their countries of origin, of course, but to the wider Caribbean and the world. Find another way to celebrate. But I'll stop there, fellas.
I thought it was I did see the highlights. I did hear what you're talking about, because like I said, I didn't get to watch the match. I watched quite a number of the matches. I'll speak to that first. I thought, especially with it being in Trinidad and with a lot of what's going on in Trinidad, there was a level of awareness that was missing there. Now, I would want to hope that someone in management or someone in Cricket West Indies would have pulled the two guys aside quietly and say, look, man, maybe there's a different way that you guys can celebrate, right? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be a long conversation. You understand me? Okay. We have to make sure our younger men especially understand the responsibility that they have to society. And you are a cricketer, you're in the focus, you're on TV. The whole world is watching you. You understand me? You've got to be aware of what you're doing and what message you are sending, right? Anyways, enough of that. Those two young men, by the way, are phenomenal young cricketers.
Correct.
Phenomenal young cricketers. I was very impressed with young Micah McKenzie. Mm-hmm. Very, very impressed. The way how he went about his game, the way how he put this package together, his overs together, I really loved it. You know, I had never seen the young man play before. And I was like, oh, we got something here. You understand? This is something. So I loved what I saw from him. Joel Andrew, I kind of had a feeling like his heart and mind was already across the pond in the UK the way he was playing. You know, there was a level of irresponsibility. I saw it also in the 4-day tournament. You know, lots of people have been talking about it, and he did mention that he needs to take more care. I hope he shows more care, because I'm sure he's going to have an opportunity to play in Ireland and England, and that level of care needs to be there, because this is international cricket. This is not the Breakout League. This is not the West Indies first class tournament. This is not Super 50, right? He has to put a premium on his wickets. Way too talented. When I watch Joel Andrew bat, I get a little bit of Viv Richards in him. That level of, when I see him hit, how he hits the ball, places that he hits the ball to, the only person that I've seen bat like that is Viv Richards. So he's got to place a premium on his wickets. In terms of overall performances, Kevlar Anderson gave me the vibe that is Shea Hope's replacement, in terms of someone who can hold the West Indies middle order together. You understand me? His performances weren't explosive, but he showed a stickability, right? He showed a willingness to stick it out. In that last game they played against, I think it was Barbados, he was going to run a ball, I think, or less than a run a ball, and then he turned it up. But that's typical one-day batting, right? What he showed me was a really good one-day batsman, a really good long format batsman. I'm sure he's going to turn into a pretty good T20 batsman down the road. But what he showed me is what I expected to see from him. Someone who can really bat. Josh De Silva did what I expected him to do. If he didn't do that, I would have been highly disappointed. Same with Alec Athanaze. You're a test cricketer. You're an international cricketer. Both of you have played international cricket one day and test cricket. Athanaze has also played T20 cricket, I think. You're supposed to come and do what you need to do. At this level, you're supposed to dominate. It was, what's this kid name from the Windward Islands? Johan Jeremiah. That was a couple of explosive innings, right? Couple of explosive innings. Liked it. Not sure how it translates. When I look at him, I'm not sure how it translates to the higher level. Let's see what CPL brings, right? Because from what I understand, the CPL is giving 8 slots to players who would have done well in this tournament, right? So good things are on the horizon. As Walter said earlier, it's a good league to unearth new players, because we need to do that, especially where our T20 cricket is concerned. Kyron Pollard mentioned that, I think was way back in 2019. He did say, hey, we need to have something that's us, West Indies. CPL is not for West Indies. CPL is for them people and their money-making venture. You understand me? We need to have something for us, like we had before they show up. So this league, I expect to see it go from strength to strength. Looking forward to great things, and Walter did hit on it. More matches. There's no substitute for it. More matches at the T20 level. I'm not too worried about the Super 50. You don't want that to get too drawn out and it becomes really stale. But our 4-day tournament, there needs to be more matches. Walter, you're mute, by the way.
Yeah, just let everybody play everybody. In terms of the 5th over.
Yeah.
Instead of the nonsense you used to get, people get 3 matches and them kind of nonsense. And then all of a sudden we suck, and then people want to know why. Why we were not making a 5th over World Cup?
Don't play enough cricket. Don't play.
Kevi, could I jump in here?
Yeah.
As Josie Wales.
The singer?
Yes. A whole lot of dancehall artists
Mm.
name themselves after
Old Western gunmen.
Western gunmen. Guns were not made in the Caribbean. And recently, with all that's going on around the world, I heard someone said, and this is some sentiments, that democracy was a tool used by the global north for control. In the Caribbean, one of our leader, de facto leader in the Caribbean, is Jamaica. I normally call them the griot of Caribbean society because of their musical influence.
Mm.
We are a people that love our music, whether we are in America or in the Caribbean. Our music have influenced us. As a young man, I remember being in a dance hall, or if I hear a tune, I still put up my gun hand, as everybody said. Bang, bang, bossa blanc. I understand Sammy's take on being socially aware, giving these young men a leader. So I'm not going to beat them up, as you said. Never will. As an adult and as an older man, I'm much more mature and understand. Because maybe if I had the opportunity to play, I probably would have done, or knowing me, I would probably say something that would have pissed a set of people off. We live in this society, and a lot of that example is just a microcosm of what happened in wider society.
Absolutely.
And I think that governments and leaders they're the ones who are responsible, and it starts there, and it will filter down. Because yes, we have a violence problem, but we could have multiple PhD TCs, sorry, on this course, and maybe we should have some interesting discourse and I mean on the same channel about that, and invite someone, because it goes deeper, and I understand. And as Sammy said, he did not blame the young man. And West Indies cricket, I think I understand why they stayed away from it, and everybody in the excitement would get caught up, and maybe that's what happened. And I understand that lots of people in the Caribbean this year and for the last couple of years have lost their lives. And maybe sometimes what Micah and Joel did needs to happen. So the real conversation can be had.
Yeah, I agree with you on that last point.
Because of the underlying reasons, right, of why. In the 1930s, I can't remember, 1930 something, they had the Moyne Commission. The US, the British decided that we should do an investigation on why we're having these protests in the Caribbean and white people are mad. But there were the reason. It's like your mother slap you up and say, why did I slap my son up? You know, so at the end of the day, we need to we need to, as a people, we need to start having these uncomfortable conversations, because I'll say this at the end. Joy DeGruy says that we all have post-traumatic slave syndrome, which is a form of PTSD.
It is PTSD passed down to the lines of our forefathers. You understand? And we all
in my master's thesis, I found that we are affected and have the nightmares of our foreparents passed on, and we passed on that to our children.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, in terms of this incident, I do believe a negative can be turned into a positive. In fact, both Micah, McKenzie, and Joel Andrew can run with this and become advocates to end violence, because guess what? Young people like them, the young people who are supposed to lead this region, are being gunned down.
Yeah.
You see?
They got next up. You understand me?
Yeah.
They got next man up. So it's upon them to start not be afraid to have the conversation. You understand?
Right.
And start leading in that manner.
Right. And the fact that they are brilliant cricketers, I'm glad Walter mentioned Micah, McKenzie, and the leg spin, right? Because we know West Indies cricket needs such bowlers. You look at Moti and Warwickon off spin.
Fellas.
Right? So respect to Micah on that. My man at the tournament, actually, I would say, I don't know.
Go ahead, Walter.
I think if we could stop here for a bit. I mean, sorry, but somebody at my door there.
That's all right. This is where we're going to end the episode. Walter, gotta go.
Yeah.
Catch y'all later.